And what is up, everybody? John here from Florida Moto Talk, and I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight as we bring you the next installment of whatever it is that we're doing at this particular time. But here at Florida Moto Talk, we like to talk about motorcycle racing. We bring you used motorcycle deals and pretty much everything in between. And today we have something a little different planned. We've done interviews before, but I think this one's going to be another really special one. And I'll bring our guest up here in a second, but just a couple little quick things about him. This guest, his we'll just tell you who it is. His name's Andrew, and he's a racer out of an entirely different country to our own. He's out of Canada, and he's been involved in motorsport since about 2011, probably even before that. And he's been just putting out just videos, just endless videos about motorcycle racing. Pretty much any question that you'd have about racing or getting into racing, I mean, he's got a video for it and he's got an answer for it. I mean, some of his videos, he'll talk about what to expect when you get into racing and how to overcome technical and mechanical issues and things like that. He even does a lot of videos about riding technique, which we're definitely going to dig into and pick his brain about that too. But just to name a couple of topics that he covers. And he's got over 27 some odd videos on his channel right now. So if you haven't heard of him, definitely go check him out. He's at BAF Racing on YouTube. Drop him a like and drop him a subscribe. But without further ado, let's go ahead and bring him up. Andrew, you got me?
I got you, bro. What's going on, John? Thank you for having me
What
at
is
your
up?
show. And yeah, it's a pleasure, man. Let's talk.
Yeah. Let's talk, man. Like I said, I'm happy to have you here, man. I mean, it's a Saturday night, so thanks for taking the time to come hop on the show, man.
Oh, I always have time when it comes to motorcycle. I always have time.
Isn't that the weirdest thing, man? I mean,
Uh,
we make time for the things we love, man. I always got time for bikes too.
oh yeah.
And
Oh, yeah. It never ends too, by the way. Like it never ends. There's always something you need time for, whether it be fixing, buying, searching, whatever it is. There's always something.
always, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just thought it'd be real cool to get you on Florida Moto Talk because, like, for one, and as I was telling you before we started up, man, I enjoy your videos. I've seen pretty much all of them, and you clearly have a lot of experience when it comes to this racing thing and motorcycle racing. This hobby that we share. So I figured it'd be super fun to just bring you up here and just pick your brain about racing and hopefully I can improve my riding a little bit and hopefully we can continue to put some information out for sure.
That's awesome, man. No, thank you. Thank you for having me. And yeah, so um I appreciate you watching the some of the contents that I put up. And to be honest, I just started that this January,
Hmm.
and it originally just a way for me to thank a lot of my sponsors that help me, help me one way or another when it comes to racing, whether it be bike stuff or anything with regards to racing. So one way that I could thank my sponsors and promote their product as well, right? But it turns out that I got a lot of positive feedback from the audience, and I figured, you know what, let's go forward to it. And I love sharing information. I love, I'm not selfish. I know we're competitive. A lot of guys try to keep secrets and how to be better and all of that. Me, I just love helping people out. That's all.
Yeah, and you said January, so you like this past January?
Yeah, this like I've been
Like a couple
making.
months ago January?
Yeah, yeah. So I've been making some videos. Like I would post my race videos, but it was more for like my competitors, right? Like, hey, come check this out. So I would always record a lot of the footages that I have, especially when my wife gave me the Insta 360 camera, right? So I thought that
Hmm.
was cool, right? So yeah, for the most part I would put up those race events, my race videos, and it was good. But again, like as you get serious into motorcycle racing, and you start getting sponsors, and I want to pay back, to my sponsors for supporting me, right? So it's one way that I kind of, at least I can think of, at least to kind of promote their business and help them as well, as much as they help me, right? So and like I said, I started doing that this just this January, and I picked up a lot of steam, right? And a lot of feedback, a lot of learning. Oh my god, dude, it is a roller
Hmm.
coaster. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah. So end of the day, I'm enjoying, the process, and then enjoying sharing knowledge too. 'Cause I like, you get that sense of like, what do you call it, like, almost like an accomplishment that somebody comes to you and said, hey, you know what you put out, it's like actually helped me out, like now it makes sense, so it's good. So I'm getting a lot of good feedback.
Sweet. Yeah, and I'm definitely gonna circle back around to that before we go down the rabbit
All
hole.
right.
Just take a second to like, I mean, just tell everybody where you're from, man, and tell us just a
Okay.
little bit about yourself real quick.
All right, so yeah, Andrew. I named myself BAF Racing, and I'll get into the BAF Racing, the whole meaning of it. But yeah, so I started, been riding since 2011, and like, ever since I was young, I've always wanted to race, and I thought I was gonna be, like, I wanted to be a race car driver. So I love the whole racing scene. Even after high school, I'd come home, watch racing, Formula One, whatever kinds of racing, and got into motorcycle in 2011, and then by 2015, I got a buddy that started going to the track. So I'm like, well, what's this track about? So I got into track in 2015, and by 2018, like, as I progressed through like 15 to 18, I started collecting stuff like generators and, like, tire warmers, whatever I need, right? For Because I know that's where I'm going to end up. I knew it. I'm going to start racing. By 2018, I did my first race, and that was it, man. My bank has never been the same.
You're
Yeah.
hooked. Day one, just hooked.
Yes, that's it. That's it. It's just like, it's like a drug addiction that just keeps getting worse and worse.
I mean, you could be doing worse things. I mean, it's not the cheapest hobby, but definitely there's a lot of worse things you could be doing.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think,
100%. Yeah.
oh yeah, that's great. So where are you living now?
So I'm in, like, the Toronto area.
Hmm.
And it's just like, I'd say about 40 minutes outside of Toronto. And I compete, we have a few race organizations, some regional, some national, like the one
Hmm.
national. But like, our racing scene is not like the US.
Hmm.
Like, you guys have like, what, 200,000 population, right? Where there's only
Yeah.
like sorry, 200 million. There's only a few Canadians. I think it's like, what is it, 70 or something like that. So in the racing world, it's even less. Like, there's not a lot of pool to pick from. So, but yeah, my home base is Toronto, Canada, and fortunately, a lot of the racing organization is based close to me. So I'm lucky that way.
Cool. And I guess so the Canadian like Superbike Championship, I guess that would be like the premier,
Yes.
professional racing level, kind of like the equivalent to the Moto
AMA.
America that we have.
Yes.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And is that the pretty popular series that's over there? Or is it something that's growing or kind of how's that looking?
So it's been it's it's got its down and it's got its up.
Hmm.
In the past few years, it has seen some growth, but certainly in the past, it was in some troubled waters. But I think part of it is the pandemic helped boost the motorsport, in general. So right now, we're at a good position. Easily see about, I don't know, 25 plus on the amateur grid when it comes
Hmm.
to the superbike. On the pro grid, you're still looking at about 15 to 20. So I think it's a pretty healthy grid, right? So, um,
Yeah.
like I said, not as much as the US, but it's growing.
And I mean, I would imagine there's like a plethora of tracks scattered all over Canada too, huh? Or those kind of limited as well when it comes
It's
to where you
Yeah.
race.
Yeah, it's limited. Like,
Hmm.
the comparison wise, the US track is far better condition.
Really?
Up here, a lot of our tracks are bumpy, cracks. It's it's quite a challenge, and they're too far apart. We only have really a few tracks that the CSBK round goes to, and I think this year we're going to, for the first time in a long time, I think since 2006. I don't remember exactly. They're going back to Alberta, so that's pretty exciting. And then we have one round this year in Nova Scotia, and then for the most part, it will be in Ontario.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not as much. I could probably count with my fingers how many tracks we have here. So,
Really, that's interesting because yeah, my all my like thoughts that I had are just getting flipped upside down now. Because yeah, I mean, just looking at Canada, and you'd figure that these things would be everywhere. I mean, you guys got the space for it, certainly.
I wish that was the case, honestly. And
Yeah,
work, I'm honestly jealous. Like sometimes I'm like, maybe I need to live in Texas because like the winter sucks because
yeah,
we can't ride, obviously. But and even then, a lot of our tracks, there's only like a couple that are comparative to, say, over at Daytona 200, right? There's only
hmm,
like two tracks that are actual big tracks. For the most part, it's all kind of small technical tracks.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We definitely have a lot of tracks down here, and even more. I mean, the motorcycle track. I mean, we have a lot of tracks that do double duty with bikes and cars, but the ones specific to motorcycles are definitely far fewer than the tracks that are open to to cars as well. But pretty much anywhere in America for the most part, you're going to be relatively close to a racetrack, at least within 4 or 5 hours, and that's still pretty pushing it. I live down in Florida, like northern Florida, right next to Georgia, and we ride year round down here. We
Oh,
ride all winter.
dude.
Um, yeah, my local track's an hour and a half up the road, so
Ah,
yeah,
s-
most of the times, just be like,
I
"Yeah, I
am
want to go
jealous.
ride tomorrow." Yeah, yeah, we're gonna go practice tomorrow or something like that. But yeah, we rode all winter, so that's sweet.
Oh,
I, or, I mean, is it still freezing up there?
oh yeah,
You guys
yeah. I
still got
just
snow on
I
the ground?
well, I was just shoveling this morning, so yeah, it's trust
Oh,
me,
no way.
I've considered it, seriously considered it. Maybe I should move to Texas, Florida.
Well,
Yeah.
think about it. You don't want to know what the temperature was here today. I'll just tell you that me and the kids were in the backyard like before the show, and we're wearing t-shirts and shorts,
Oh man, I am jealous. That's awesome.
and
Yeah.
and we're just
But
doing our thing.
at the end of the day, it is what it is. I mean, you deal with the winter. It gives you time to go and like what we have here, fixing the bike, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's the time
Yeah.
to get all the kinks worked out, get new parts on, get everything sorted.
Exactly. We actually have a lot of Canadians that would go down to Jennings for the winter.
Hmm.
Like the past Daytona 200, I think we had like 11 contingency of riders that went down, and a lot of them did pretty well. So I mean,
Hmm.
we it's you guys are not too far away from us, so it's a few hour drive.
Yeah, and I've ran into Canadians at Jennings, just people from up north in general. It always blows my mind, but it's just kind of the part of the culture down there now. Like whenever it's the middle of winter time, all those guys show up. But yeah, it just blows my mind that people are traveling that far just to get some seat time.
Yeah. Oh, I'm considering it. Yeah, but
Hmm.
it's and the thing is in Canada too, like what going back to what I said earlier, it's such a small community, so a lot of the motorcycle community would know each other, right?
Yeah.
Because it's such a small community, right? So like a lot of the
Mhm.
guys that you probably met that are Canadian, I probably know them.
Yeah, I'll get with you after this because I take like a lot of pictures too when I'm at the track. It's kind
Okay.
of like something I'm getting into. But there was one guy in particular, I cannot remember his name, but he races Ninja 400s, and I got a lot of pics of him. So I'll send. You'll probably
Okay.
recognize the dude.
Okay. I'll
He was a
probably.
young cat,
Yeah.
but yeah, he was really cool.
Adam
But yeah,
Wilson.
sweet. I cannot remember his name,
Okay. All right.
but yeah, I'll send you some of the pics, and I mean, you tell me if you recognize him. We'll see how small this world really
Okay.
is.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For sure. For sure.
But that's sweet. So what org did you say you're racing with now? And I would imagine there's probably a bunch to choose from.
In my area at least we have a couple. Like I said, I'm fortunate to have uh at least two regional close to me. So one north of me, about I'd say two 2.5 hour drive, is called Super Series. It's a little smaller group, not as big as the one that I'm in now, but it's still a pretty competitive series. And the one I'm joining is the Southern Ontario Association of Racing, and I would say it's probably one of the biggest regional in Canada.
Hmm.
We would sometimes have 39. I think, yeah, it happened before where we had 39 bikes on one class, and we have to split them up in two because the track only allows 33 riders, but
Yeah.
it's packed. So I race with Southern Ontario Association of Racing. That's what I started, racing regional back in 2018. And last year I joined the national series, which is the Canadian Superbike Championship, sponsored by Bridgestone.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Very nice. So was that like a pretty big step up, or were you pretty much, were you ready and dialed in when you got up there?
It's different because the expectation, at least that I put on myself, expectation is high, right? But
Yeah.
the regional series are quite competitive. So going into the national, it was like I knew that I wasn't gonna be in the front running because we have some like pretty fast guys. But I joined the series when it was held in my home track. So at least, that it took that away from, getting to know the procedures and, their protocols, and, having to learn all of that, plus having to learn a new track, right? So at least I
Hmm.
already know the track. Um, so I knew I was going to be somewhat competitive, but I know that I'm not going to be in the top five.
Yeah.
But the level are the same. Like they're not any different. It's just that on the national you have a lot of faster guys up top, right? Like the difference is marginal. Whereas
Mhm.
the regional, you have fast guys at the top, but you also have a lot of slow guys at the bottom, and a lot in between, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's but the pace is pretty much the same.
Sweet. And have you heard of any of the orgs that we have down here by any chance?
Yeah,
Like, have y'all heard of, like, because I'm
pit
currently racing
race.
with Weir,
Yeah, pit
or
what is it?
yeah, or CCS and
CCS. Yeah,
ASRA.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you guys hear about all that stuff, huh?
Oh yeah, we have a few guys that will be competing this summer, going to pit race, right? Because I think it's
Cool.
only uh what's that state? Is it um above Chicago?
With what, Pittsburgh?
Yeah, yeah, I don't remember exactly, but it's above Chicago, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, so we have a few guys that have been competing there. We have a guy that regularly competes with pit race, so it's not uncommon for us to be going down south and competing there. Um, Again, like it's I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly if it's like fair to say, but it's almost like the U.S. Uh, um, racing organization is like, it's like a little step up when it comes to like prestige level, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, but yeah, we have a lot of guys that would compete. Personally, for me, at some point, I'd probably would want to join the Daytona race in somewhere in October, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Be a good drive for you,
Oh yeah. Oh
for
yeah.
sure. Be a good drive, but totally worth it, for sure. Well,
Oh,
that's cool that, yeah.
oh, I hear it all the time, man. We have a lot of guys that went to Daytona, and they tell me, like, that you gotta understand the feeling of that, the bike being on the bank and all of that stuff, right?
Hmm. Yeah, that. hearing like the stories about Daytona is pretty like mind-boggling. And a buddy of mine actually worked there. He was on the podcast too. We did an episode a while ago. He started off uh road racing and now he races dirt bikes. But I put some clips from when he raced Daytona in that video, and just hearing him talk about it, yeah, it's supposed to be unreal, just going around the bank and everything. So man, I'd love
Oh
to do
yeah.
that too. That'd be great.
Oh yeah.
Sweet. So say like I wanted to come up there to Canada and just start racing, would they like accept my license or what?
Oh, 100%. We actually have a guy, I think he competes with AMA now, Chris Murphy.
Hmm.
So he rides a Yamaha. He used to compete. He lives in Buffalo, so just a stone throw away from Niagara Falls. So he would cross the border and come over to compete with us back before the pandemic. And he would go and compete with Soar. And really, because you have a history of racing already and you have your race license in the US, all you really have to do is apply for the race license here in our organization, right? So like,
Hmm.
and then you can go and join.
Sweet. So yeah, I could just if I get a couple weeks out of work and a
Oh yeah, hey, I
little
got
bit
I
of time
got
away,
I
yeah.
got plenty of, I got a ZX6R sitting over here, man.
Hey, same for you too, man. If you want to come down, man, you want to make your way down to Florida. Hey, I will set you up with a track day for sure. You can
Okay.
even ride my bike, man.
Right
That
on, right on.
that'd make for some good stuff. Have you ridden any tracks down here? By the way, while we're on the topic, have you had the chance to get down?
No, I haven't. I would love to. It's one of my goals. Actually, I want to do Jennings in the winter, probably
Hmm.
sometime in December. But it's a lot of financial commitment. Uh, just the gas alone, right? So it's
Yeah.
but it's definitely one of my goals. As you can see, this one over here has been a black hole in my pocket. So
Yeah, I mean, man, there's so many tracks down here, so many good tracks. He said I race with Weir Southeast, and I mean, and we go to Roebling, we go to Barber. I'm sure you've heard of
oh
Barber.
yeah, oh yeah. There's
Yeah,
one
that's
track at AMA that they just repaved. That's the one I'm talking about. Which what was that called? They just
there's
repaved it.
there's a couple that I can think of. Maybe Road America.
I think it's Road America. Hold on. I want
Yeah,
to
there's
try that because that's not too far away from me. I think it's like maybe 8 9 hours away from my house.
cool, very cool, and yeah, and well, Circuit of the Americas too down in Texas.
Oh my,
If you feel
yes.
like going that far.
Oh yeah. That's like one of my bucket lists. At least a track that a MotoGP goes to.
Hmm.
And just have a comparison of how you do versus what, like, because you're in the sport, right? Like what these
Hmm.
guys do is not human. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, I mean, so another cool thing about like racing down here in the Southeast too is during the wintertime, when you go do track days, professional riders will be there. And I mean, I have just endless videos on my laptop of me getting passed by pros. Like, it seems to happen more than like, more often with like Kayla Yakov, for example. Have you heard of
Yes.
her? Has her
Yes.
name made it up there too? I've
Yeah.
got like anytime for whatever reason, like in the winter when I get on track, she's usually out there and she's usually blowing my doors off along with everybody else. But
Yeah. And it just
um,
gives you an appreciation of what these guys do is unreal.
no, it's literally unreal how they.
Yeah.
I mean, just that you can't fathom like if you don't ride motorcycles, you can't begin
You
to
can't.
even
Yeah.
understand it. And then
No.
see even when you do ride motorcycles, when you see it in person, it just blows your mind how
E-
some yeah.
even if you ride motorcycles and you haven't done track, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't have
Yeah,
any idea, right? Because it's completely
yeah.
different.
And it's so weird how like watching I watch a lot of racing, like a lot of racing.
So
But
you watch today's MotoGP race and
of
the
course,
WSB. Okay,
of
I, s-
course, I
I saw
actually yeah.
I saw your latest video, by the way. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I threw that out this morning. Just a quick
yeah,
reaction video to
yeah,
the World Superbike races this morning. If
uh,
anybody hadn't seen that,
yeah.
but yeah, like watching it on TV, it doesn't give you any sort of
No,
like sense of the speed that even when they're doing 200 miles per hour.
no.
Yeah,
The
it
braking, how they toss the bike, like it's like physically, just physically,
Mhm.
how do they last that long? Like you wouldn't understand. Like it's hard to really process it in your head.
Yeah, and so I've seen a couple AMA races too, and that was really eye-opening for me too. Barber, for example, we watched all the races, but the Superbike race was unreal. I mean, it's so like the bikes are out of control. And they ride these bikes with so much like ferocity, like it might
Yeah,
as well be like some type of wild animal that they're trying to tame. And just watching bikes go into corners like at that speed,
yeah.
it's unreal, man. I can't even.
Like if the brain cannot process how that's possible, right?
Yeah, and funny enough, there was another video that I just saw with Gypsy Tales. I don't know if you've heard that channel or not, but they did an interview where the guy, he had done a two up ride. He knows like Jack Miller personally from
Okay.
yeah, from MotoGP, and he had done a two up ride, and he was explaining how pretty much like throughout the entire ride that he thought, like, he legitimately thought they were gonna die going into every corner,
I
and that's
believe
like
it.
he was said he was literally like, and he rides motorcycles too. He's
Yeah.
the guy that races, but he just said the speed, like, you can't wrap your head around it, and he just thought every corner. He said he had just like a sinking feeling in his stomach that
And,
like we're going way too fast.
and by the way, that's if any racers, Jack Miller, the guy that does bunny hops.
hmm Yeah, and that's what he said. He described Jack Miller as just a psychopath, pretty much.
Yeah.
He was like he doesn't fear. He was like a normal person would like be afraid of the things that he's doing on this motorcycle right now. And then he was wondering, well, like he does that with me on the bike, so I wonder, he's going
Yeah.
twice as fast when he's by himself, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, unreal. Um, so so you said you have a ZX6 hiding back there somewhere too, and then that's
Yes,
an
I
R6 right
do.
here that we're looking at.
And actually,
Is
this ZX6 that I have used to compete in AMA back in 2010, I believe. And
cool.
the used to own used the previous. I think it was Ben Young, our current Canadian champion, that used to ride this bike at AMA. And there's a footage somewhere on YouTube back in 2010 of him riding it. So yeah, but it's an older bike. It's a 2008, right? But it's a well built bike and it's sitting here. But I don't like it. The bike does
You
not
don't
like the bike does not like me. By the way.
Yeah, and so strangely enough, like earlier this week, a buddy of mine, Tyshawn, on our Florida Moto Talk page, he
Hmm.
had a post where he was asking, what did everyone think was the best like 600 and 1000 cc bike? But what do you think? I'm curious to know what you think. But what do you think is the best middleweight bike? And I guess he was looking for like an unbiased answer, but it's kind of hard to be unbiased with these kind of things. But what do you think is the
Hon-
best middleweight
hon-
for racing?
Honestly, the best one is the one that you're gonna be fast on,
Yeah,
because
facts.
like every single bike has its strengths and weaknesses, right? Like let's talk about like CBR 600 RR. If you don't do a lot of work in that engine, it's going to be gutless. But it's an amazing handling bike, right? Like it's an
Yeah.
amazing bike. You put that bike in a Coda, it's not going to do too well against a ZX 636. There's a lot of straight, there's a lot of high end torque you need, right? The bike's gutless, but it's going to give you a lot of confidence because it's an amazing handling bike, right?
Mhm.
The ZX6R, like I found out that I don't like it because I I've said this in my other videos. I prefer mid corner feel, and the ZX6R isn't giving me that mid corner feel. I don't know if it's the suspension setup, but I did try getting it sorted with my local suspension guy, and we were getting nowhere. And I'm just dumping money into it and a lot of time and getting nowhere. And then you have the R6, amazing handling, not the fastest, right? Like you have the 636, which has more horsepower, and then it's gutless when it comes to the mid range, where you have the 636 and the Gixxer that has a lot of grunt, right?
Mhm.
And then but it's a physical bike to ride. At least I find, because the tank, there's really not a lot of support for the R6 tank for you to under braking. So if you have a lot of heavy braking track, it uh, it's very physical to ride. Whereas you have the Gixxer and the 636, where a deeper seat, you have a lot more of your pelvic area bracing under braking. So it's not as physical as an R6, but it doesn't handle as much as an R6. So it really depends on your riding style and what you prefer and what's more important to you. You know, some people prefer braking stability. Some people prefer are better at corner exit. Some people are better at mid corner feel, right? Or some people just want raw horsepower, right? So it really depends. So they're all pretty much the same at the end of the day. Just depends on the riding style. Like let's look at you have Lorenzo that switched to a Ducati, right?
Yeah.
Preferably Ducati at the time was a pretty strong bike, right? But he didn't do too well because he was struggling with physical under braking until they put the padding on the tank, right? Then he started winning, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, again, it's whatever you're comfortable with is the gonna be the best one for you.
I gotcha. But if you
Yeah.
had to pick one, it'd probably be the R6, though,
Oh,
right?
100% R6. Yeah. I'll pick
Alright.
two. I have two.
Very nice. Yeah, I would say, like,
What do you
that the
think?
RC
What do you think for you? What do you think?
I mean,
For
look, for me personally, I prefer the 636, but I would
yeah.
probably say that in general, the R6 may be a better bike for, you know, a lot of different reasons. I feel, it's the most widely used bike,
Yeah.
for a reason for sure. Very
Uh,
popular bike.
so I have one guy that we have here, um, Thomas Casas. He's one of the pro CSPK rider,
Mhm.
and he's been to Italy in the Rossi Ranch, and I had a chat with him in one of the motorcycle show, and I asked him about the Kawasaki, and he did say with the Kawasaki's the way you ride it is very different because you almost have to pick up the bike before you apply throttle. It doesn't really like to he doesn't really like to carry the corner speed the way the R6 does when you ride it, whereas the ZX with the Kawasaki, you have to pick it up and then I don't know if that's true. How do you find the 66 when you ride it?
Um, and for me and mine, it's dialed in pretty good suspension wise too,
Mhm.
and yeah, I have felt that a little bit where, and it'll only happen in certain corners where, well, to get more lean angle, you have to kind of find that balance between, like you said, not getting on the throttle too early because it will have a tendency to kind of stand straight
Kick
up and
out.
then
Yeah.
mess your trajectory up. But for the most part, I can keep really high corner speed on it. It feels really good, making the switches into the switchback. It feels like it wants to do everything like slowly and methodically, I guess, is like the best
Yeah.
way to describe it.
Yeah.
For sure. It feels like it doesn't want you to do anything abruptly or surprise it. It wants you to know what you want to do, have an idea, and then slowly like apply those inputs, and then um like it just works for me. I mean, I enjoy it. I had an R6 too, but I couldn't get comfortable on it like
That's
ergonomically for some reason.
interesting.
Yeah, and it's weird because I have a buddy that's taller than me. He's 6'2", and he won't ride anything else but a R6, and he it works
I,
for him,
I already
but
like your buddy.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it just works for him, but I couldn't get comfortable on it, and I just felt like I was sitting up on top of the bike, and I just felt really crunched up, really hunched over, and I I was like, well, let me get back. I had ridden a Cowie on the street before, but never raced one, so I was like, well, let
Yeah.
me get back on the Cowie. I remember the Cowie felt good, and yeah, it's just like I said, it just depends on the person. Like I said, ride what you're gonna be fast on. So for me,
Yeah.
like the Cowie feels good. I'm comfortable with it, and it it gives me a lot of confidence. So I mean,
Uh, see,
yeah.
that's good because for me with a Cowie, I have zero confidence. And you're right. You're absolutely right with regards to how to ride the Cowie, because that's what I find with mine. Mind you, mine's like the previous gen than yours, and I like you have to be really really kind to that throttle,
Hmm.
because if you are try to be greedy, especially on corner exit, it'll tell you. It'll fight back. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but it'll. I mean, you can punish it. It'll work, but like I said, it doesn't like any surprises from you
No.
at all. It teaches you not to do that really quickly.
And I think my problem was I treated it like an R6 and it didn't like it.
Yeah, I'd say give it another shot, or at least try the 13 plus. I don't know. I mean, but that's just me. That's just me, man.
I
Um,
mean, it is a little more horsepower bike, so I wouldn't blame you.
Very cool. And I guess you're putting the R6 back together now, getting it ready for the season.
This one is my 2006. I have the 2008 out back, and I'm trying to get it all sorted out. I'm like I said, it's been a black hole to my pocket because I'm trying to built that bike. This bike is pretty much stock. I didn't even have. I was competing in a massive track without even a quick shifter. So like on the
Uh,
back straight, I'm losing out, right? So yeah. So this year I'm gonna be putting in some quick shifter, some auto blip, and all the bells and whistle that I could put
the
on that
goodies.
bike. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So is this the bike from your build series then, or is that your other R6?
This is the other R6. This is the older R6.
So this is the build series bike that you're running.
No, no, the
Am I
other one,
backwards?
the you can't see the build series bike, but I've kind of put that aside for now because it's almost done.
Ah,
It's almost done. I'm just little bits, and I think one more week worth of work, and I think it's done.
sweet. Yeah, and for anybody that's listening to Andrew runs, he's pretty much running the build series for that R6. So if you want to check out, kind of what goes into that, definitely go check that video out too.
100%.
There's a couple of them. And with that, I guess let's swing back around to you starting this whole thing in January, because my
Yeah.
mind's still kind of blown on that, by the way. It's
Yeah.
kind of, I mean, because I mean, you clearly have a talent for like creating this content and stuff. Um, and I really did assume that you worked, at least had like a background in technology or something like that. Just because like the how much effort like you put into the videos and everything, but I guess not, huh?
Honestly, it's so I used to snowboard. Like I used to snowboard back then, and I would make a little bit of compilations here and there. But beyond that, I really didn't have much when it comes to editing. I kind of just learn as I go. So,
Yeah,
um, and a lot of research, and like I said, it's been a roller coaster. Like it takes me at least 8 hours to just produce a 4 minute video. Right? There's a lot of searching of footage. Luckily, I have a lot of footage in my hard drive, so that helps a lot. And I recorded a lot of races, so that helps a lot. And when it comes to the content, I'm just trying to be honest, right? Like I don't claim to be a know it all, right? I just share
yeah,
my experience, and if that happens to if you somebody happens to learn something from it, great. I'm happy, right? But
yeah,
yeah,
and I think that you like you're with your videos, you're really good about like understanding the things that people want to know, is what I feel like.
oh,
So
thank you.
where's that coming from? 'Cause I mean, literally all your videos are things that people would ask, like getting into the sport. I mean, you've already
Honest,
got the video for it, but yeah, where's that coming from?
honestly, those are the questions I ask myself. Those are the questions that I
I
want to
figured.
know, right?
I
Like
figured.
those are real struggles. Like I actually everything that I've put out are genuinely informations that would have helped me with my search for speed, with how to and it took many years to get there, right? Like I few years ago, I could only dream of being on the podium, right?
Hmm.
Now this year, here I am fighting for a win, right? So and those information I put out are something that I wished I would have known when I was learning, a few years ago, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, honestly, I was just trying to be genuine on my weakness and answer things that I thought really helped me
Hmm.
with riding. So, and I guess it's good because people are a lot of people are relating to that, and I'm getting a lot of positive feedback from it, right?
Yeah.
So
And like, so I guess my next question is, what I'm wondering is there a lot of people that do like motorcycle content creation with Canada as far as racing?
not very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like there's really very limited amount of time you have in the year, right? So
Yeah.
and even then, it's the the such a small niche that at least in Canada, that whatever is available out there is all in the US, right?
Hmm.
So if there's any content that they wanna view, it's it's all in it's all in the US, right? So I guess I know another guy that's doing this yeah, that competes with me as well, but he's got a different take on it, right?
Yeah.
But uh, his approach is a little more easier to produce, but we kind of help each other out. We talk, hey, how could I do this better? We'll talk and try to help each other out, right? But yeah, it's not much in Canada, at least.
Mm. And I think just motorsports in general, it's in a very good place right now because it at least down here in America, it's like growing. It's definitely
Yes,
blossoming right now.
I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah,
Yeah, I
I
agree.
would expect the same thing to be going on up there. So definitely a good time, especially if there's not a lot of people that do it up there, that that they got you putting these videos out. Now you could be
Yeah.
the resource for the next generation pretty much. So that's pretty cool.
And I think that's what it is. I think just found a gap in the niche, right?
Yeah,
That there's lacking, and at least, and being Canadian, and there's no Canadian content really that does this, at least that
yeah.
I know of. So it's great. So but definitely a lot of work, though. My God, I didn't realize how much work there was, putting this together.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, are like the pros too? Like, are they like active on social media and doing content and stuff like that too? All like the Canadian pros?
No, not like Josh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. They
Huh?
have like Instagram, right? They have Instagram, they have the Facebook stuff, but nothing on YouTube, right? Like
Really?
nothing like this.
No like
And
blogs or anything? No
no,
interviews? None of
no.
that?
We have, I mean,
Interesting.
I think we have the Bridgestone podcast, the CSBK
Yeah.
National Podcast. We have that, but beyond that, nothing really. And that's where I'm planning to bring to the viewers at least this summer. And I have a lot planned for the channel, at least, and how to help people out who wants to get into racing. I want people, I want to grow this community, right? I want more people racing on the racetrack as opposed to being on the street doing something stupid, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's my ultimate goal.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting too, that those guys
Yeah.
aren't like putting themselves out with the media and stuff. I mean, man, down here, I mean, everybody's putting out vlogs and on YouTube doing interviews and just tearing it up. I mean, so
Not
yeah,
that I Yeah, not that I know of, man. Like yeah, I
interesting.
and I get it. Yeah. And I guess it's good for me because less competition, right?
Yeah, I mean, you tapped into a pretty good pretty good little resource right there if nobody's doing that yet. Like,
Yeah.
I'm surprised that, the orgs aren't running that either. I mean, that's
Yeah.
pretty wild.
And, yeah, and I'm trying to promote the organization too, the racing organization. So because I wanted to grow. I want it to grow.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Well, while I got you here, I was also wondering about another thing.
Yeah.
Um, looking at some of your topics, and I'll try to get you out of here. Like I said, I know it's Saturday night. I know you probably
Listen,
got some
man.
better things
Listen.
to
No, no, no.
do
Listen. When it
today.
comes to motorcycle, I have time.
Like, I have time.
I have time.
Well, let's get into like a little bit of a like the nerd talk real quick
Yeah, sure.
because in one of your other videos you talked about basically how you improve your racing by like focusing on improving your braking.
Yes.
And you had the video where you went pretty like into pretty good detail about it. I mean, you explained it, very clearly, very concisely. But you talked about how like corner speed was more important than like the late braking is how I took it.
Yes.
Um would you mind like it kind of like explaining that like that concept a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Cause you know, let's. I I went through the struggle of finding finding the right lap time, shaving time, right? And then I have other friends too that I talk to that does track day, and they seem to have this thought process that you know I need to work out because I need to break later, right?
Yeah.
And because I break later, I'm exhausting myself because now I have to break later. I have to brace more, right? Because I'm breaking harder, right?
Yeah.
But really, that's not that's you could that's not really the be all and end all of where you're gonna gain your speed, right? And I went through it through my journey of uh improving my lap time, and I found that breaking later really if you don't do it properly and you don't carry your speed, breaking later isn't really going to do you anything other than exhaust yourself, like, because now you have to brace. So I found that carrying that corner, like focusing my thought process, going to a track day, going into this corner, and my goal is to carry that corner speed. I'm gonna have a consistent amount of braking, no other variables other than my release of brake, right? All other variables are consistent other than my release of how much I release the brake. And I find you get used to that feeling in right, you get used to the
Hmm.
feeling in the front. There's a specific feeling in the front that you're gonna
Yeah.
have because it
That
gets
that
heavy.
yeah.
Yeah, it gets
That
heavy,
pushback.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, and my brain got used to that, and the late breaking just kind of came to me because now I'm not afraid, right? um I'm not afraid to go into that corner deeper because I know my body is now used to that feeling of breaking, of carrying that corner speed. My struggles before is that I tried to push my braking marker later and later, maybe to make a pass, right? But instinctively, my mind is not used to that pace. So it will brake and hold on to that brake as long as it can until I'm at that speed where, like your vision perception, the feeling, the weight gets the same, and then I go through the corner, right? So
Mm.
it doesn't matter if I brake late, my corner speed will be the same. But once I got used to a much faster corner speed, it allowed me to have more confidence under braking because I know that I could navigate that corner at a much faster pace, right? I guess what I'm trying to say is it's all about training my muscle memory and my brain and my eyes and my senses to carry that speed, and the late braking just becomes a result of it.
Yeah, and that's it's such a hard concept because it's like with me personally in my riding, I there's like a certain level of caution that I have, so it's hard for me to start like pushing that limit and getting in those spaces like you're saying where I may be a little bit uncomfortable because I'm not used to the speed, but then
Yeah,
you get used to the speed, you get acclimated to it, and then it becomes natural, and then you
yeah,
progress to the next level. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's just it's a difficult thing to do, I'm
Yeah,
sure, but
and,
it's something that
and
you have to master, yeah.
and that's the thing, like you always hear it. Oh, just carry more corner speed, right? Like I always hear it before.
Mhm.
Just carry more corner speed. You're going in too slow. It gets into my head. I hear it, but I don't really understand it. Like, and it's hard to apply it because my body is fighting what I want to do, and the body still wants to do what is safe for the body to do, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
navigating that corner, right? But it's for me learning that actually is that wasn't the main that wasn't like, I'm going to learn this first. No, there's a lot more that I had to learn before that, like the racing line, right? Because if you were to approach that corner at a more tapered approach, then you're not gonna like your braking will be completely different, right? So you got to have the correct racing line first for a specific track, and then start improving based on the correct racing line, right? Because
Yeah,
then so my point was to reduce the variables as much as I can into one, and change that one until I get better at that one, and then move on to the next variable,
for
right?
sure. You're very methodical with
Yeah.
this whole writing thing. Clearly, I mean, that shows in the videos too,
Yeah.
I mean,
Even in my
but
launch, right? Even in my launch, what like I have variable, my muscle, the throttle application is the same, my clutch is the same variable. The only difference is how I set the RPM, right? Like I don't, I try to eliminate the variables as much as I can. That way, I have better control by controlling one variable at a time,
yeah.
right?
And with this racing, I mean, to get to that level, you have to be methodical too, right? Only just spinning laps around the track is only going to get you so far, right? You definitely have to.
You're wasting your time, you're wasting your energy, you're wasting you're wasting a lot of things. So and I'm not the type of rider that's fast on practice. I'm actually pretty slow on practice. I'm a Sunday man. Um because I there's a lot of risk, as you know, when you start putting out fast lap time during
Yep.
practice, right? So for me, during practice, I kind of work on my weakness, and then I just put it all together come race time. Yeah, so
For
that
sure.
way I can minimize my risk, but at the same time increase my knowledge too, and my progression.
Yeah, that's such. I didn't start thinking about it that way until I did a like my or well, my race school, I guess.
Yeah,
And we were going over the concepts and talking about the different corners and
yeah.
braking and trail braking and working those techniques and everything. I was just like, my mind was blown because, like I said, I had never been methodical about any of my riding. Like I just showed up, just put some slicks on, and just I was like, I'm gonna just spin laps and do my thing. But it's really cool that we have channels like yours now where we can go and start to understand these things. And the best part of all, we can do it for free, right?
Oh yeah.
You don't have to. You can do it for free, man. You don't even have to pay for a coach. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
coach is always a great thing, but
It's
to
I
like for the concepts, I mean, you can get all of this on the internet.
Yeah, honestly, the knowledge is there. The knowledge is out there. It's but you can have the knowledge, but if you don't apply it, it's useless knowledge, right? You got
Mhm.
to practice it and start hammering it into your head come track time, right? Like so, yeah. I mean, and these are the struggles that I went through. So I figured, I might as well share it with somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. And just real quick, so you also did that it was another video that you did where you were talking about like the difference in race lines and sort of how you understand
Yes.
race lines. And that was another good video. Well done, by the way. But you were pretty much like talking about the differences between like running the defensive line versus the qualifying line and then like the ideal like fastest line,
Yeah.
right? So for like people that are listening, can you sort of like break that down real quick? 'Cause I think that'd be like really helpful too for some of the guys that are out there listening.
So for me at least, I truly believe that for anybody who wants to get faster needs to know the correct racing line, because your racing line is your foundation, right? When you're building a house, you need foundation. You need strong foundation, right? So you need to learn. if you're first time on the track, you got to learn that racing line. Ask somebody. There's a reason why they take you on a uh, follow the leader, right? For
Yeah,
the
like a lead
first,
follow.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. For the first first session or first two session. There's a reason why they do that, because they want to show you where the proper racing line is, because that's your foundation. If you don't know the racing line and you try to improve your skill like braking, then you like really it it's not going to work out. You need the right racing line to start improving your braking, to start improving your corner speed, to start improving your corner exit. It all comes down to the racing line. And when it comes to, like, defensive line, qualifying line, realistically that only applies if you start racing, right?
Yeah.
um and I had an idea of putting that video, because my last race, I was fighting with a great buddy of mine. He's a pro rider, and we there was a class called Lost Era. So any bikes that are below 11, no, under 11, any bikes that are like 11 years and older are qualified. And lightweight, which is 600cc bikes, and it's open to pro and amateur, right? So
Hmm.
I it so happened that a good buddy of mine, and he's been one of my coach with regards to riding, happened to be in the lead, and I happened to pass him. And I know that he's got a lot of skill behind his head, behind me. There's a lot of skill behind me. So I start employing, defensive line. I was successful for 2 laps until the very last race where he passed me. And partly because my fault, because I celebrated too early.
Oh, see, that'll
so
get you.
so but with regards to the line, I think I was successful with employing my defensive line. So I figured, you know what, it'd be a good idea to put a video out, something like, the racing line, and perhaps be useful for somebody else. But yeah, I made that video because of a personal experience. I and learned it the hard way. I
Yeah.
lost. I lost by 0.003 seconds.
And he'll probably never let you forget that either,
Oh,
huh?
trust me, yeah.
No, he'll never let you forget it. I wouldn't.
Yeah. The whole time I'm thinking like, oh, the student has defeated the master, right?
Yeah,
so,
so you thought, and then
so I
yeah,
thought,
try
yeah,
again.
but yeah, but yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. Yeah, that was a really cool video because that's I mean it's something that I think about, but it's once again it's I didn't really deep dive into the concepts of each line very much. I mean I
Mhm.
understand the defensive line, um, but it was just very helpful once again seeing it sort of laid out and then explaining like the situations when to use them and things like that. So yeah, that's definitely gonna help me level up the season a little bit. I think for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure. Because especially when you get to that rhythm and everybody in front of you are gone, but you have everybody behind you, right? And you're trying to
Yeah.
defend your position. So yeah, it certainly is. At least it helped for me, but didn't help as much as I wanted to.
Hmm. Sweet. Well, just real quick. So say for the guy out there that's listening that's thinking about getting into racing, um, what sort of tips would you have for that guy, or some things that you wish you had known like before you like made the deep dive into racing?
Uh if
Long
you
list.
oh man, that's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. If you're worried about money, probably not. Not a
Okay.
sport for you.
Number one
Yeah,
tip, right?
yeah, yeah. It's oh, I'll see. We'll circle back into something that I mentioned earlier. But when it comes to tips, it's just do it. You know, if if you if it's something that you think you are even thinking about, just do it, because it's so rewarding. Like I know so many guys that have given up street riding and just went full time racing, right? Because they don't even have time anymore to go street ride. It all goes to racing. Um, don't worry about your skill level because you're gonna learn, right? If you're worried about crashing, that's okay. That's part of the sport. There's some risk level into it, but ultimately it's up to you. There's a certain percentage where you get involved in a wreck, but there's still some variables that you can control, right? I when it comes to a pool of knowledge, there's nowhere else that you can get such a pool of knowledge other than the racetrack, right? You're struggling with a corner, just ask somebody that knows the track, right? Or who's a professional, and because he'll be right there, right? and
Yeah.
and it's such a small community that it becomes a family, right? And everybody kind of helps each other.
Yeah, that's how it is around here too. I mean, it's everybody's obviously, it's like dialed in and in their zone, like when they're getting on and off of the bike. But in between those times, you can pretty much approach anybody. Like I've never been in
Yeah,
a situation where I needed help or had a question,
yeah,
whether it be a track day or a race that like somebody didn't, you know, they they were unwilling to help me. I've always been able to get whatever sort of help I need. Everybody's just so cool around these motorcycles.
yeah. And then here's the thing too. When so at least for me, when I was purely just doing street riding, and then I made a leap into track riding, I was so nervous that first day. I didn't sleep. Like I had, I think, like 2 hours of sleep, right? So I was so stressed. I was so worried. Like, am I gonna crash? Am I gonna, this is gonna be fast, right? Like, what if I run out of like? There's a lot of scenarios that started playing in my head, right? And then the day of the track day, it just went smooth and I loved it. I wasn't even worried about crashing. I just had fun, right? And I was stressed the night of for nothing, like it stressed me out. And then the same thing happened when I started competing, right? When I started competing, I was stressed. I didn't sleep. Like I'm going to be going to the racetrack. That means as soon as I get on the track, I got to be at 100%. I was used to the track day where I don't feel good today. Maybe I'm going to start slow, right? There's a
Yeah.
little progression on the track days. Relax, I'll take my time on the racings in the racing world. As soon as you hop on that bike, I'm thinking to myself, I gotta be 100%. That stressed me out again. Start just running scenarios in my head, right? But
Hmm.
come race day, no, it went smooth. My mind started getting focused, and I did great, and then one thing, just pure joy, right?
Yep.
Just yeah. So, and the same thing happened when I went to the national. Just stressed me out, but again, just do it, man. It's and do it and enjoy. That's it.
Yeah, just send it. I mean, that's
Yeah,
definitely some good advice. I mean, we're always going to be nervous starting something new, but
for sure.
just like Andrew's saying, if you want to get into it, just get into it, man. There's
Yeah,
nothing to lose, and you're going to be addicted to it either way.
nothing to lose, but everything to gain. Yeah.
That, and I'm one of
Eh,
those people too. Yeah, that I have no interest in riding the street
yeah.
whatsoever
So
anymore.
I have my Aprilia right there. So that's
Yep.
yes, I got the RSV4 out there. And I'm telling you, I am the slowest in the street. Like I have a massive chicken strip on that bike. Right? I
Hmm.
love it. I love it. I go to I go to coffee meet, as people look at my bike, oh, this guy doesn't know how to ride. Yes.
You're just putting around.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually yeah, I'm very calm on the street. I think I recorded 160 kilometers an hour on that bike. Like, it records it, right? Like that's not very fast. That's
Yeah,
nothing, you know,
for that bike, yeah.
for that bike. Yeah. So it's and that was probably for like a second to pass somebody, right? Yeah, I'm very calm. There's too much risk on the street, um, that versus reward, than on the track. So, but I still enjoy the scene. I still enjoy the street. So that's why I have that bike. Yeah.
Yeah. I've like found myself trying to go track speeds on the street. So I was like, all right, well, maybe not. Yeah, let me wrap this up. Just
That's probably a great idea. Yeah.
well, hey, well, last question for you. This is the most important one.
Okay.
What does BAF stand for?
Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah. So BAF. It stands. So I got a buddy ask me the same thing. Right. He's like, "Yo, Andrew, what does BAF stand for? Is that like a badass Filipino?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, but that's cool though. I should have thought of that." So BAF. I have a close knit of friends, and when we used to ride, um, we're all family, man. We have kids, we got a house, we got a mortgage, so we're trying to find the cheapest way to, to have fun, right? So BAF is broke as fuck, right?
I wouldn't have guessed that one. Never would have
Yeah.
guessed that one. I was thinking
So,
like maybe like your initials or something like
no,
that.
no, that's what it is. But my whole concept was try to race at the most cost effective way, right? That was the whole concept. It's not
Yeah.
because I'm broke, or no, it's because I didn't upgrade my bike to the max. Like, this doesn't have any quick shifter, right? It was stock, right? I did some internal work on the suspension, right? But when it comes to doing the repairs, I would do them, right? Like, I would get salvage stuff, somebody selling some cheap, okay, I'll get that, but I build up. If I don't need it, I think for the first 2 years I was running with rubber um brake lines.
Yeah. Oh
So
man.
yeah, so that was like, that was the whole concept. Is trying to race as cheap as possible. I'm like bumming takeoff from everyone, right? Because the
Yeah.
tire's like $600.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then
but it's definitely, we have limited financial resource, right? So we got to prioritize on what's important. And at the time, I didn't want to risk my finances to be doing pursuing the sport, right? So I'm trying to do it as most cost effective as I can, right? So
yeah,
that's what
I
it
think that,
stands for.
and I think that's what we all think going into it. Yeah, we're gonna race
Yeah.
on a budget, and then
And
you
I'll tell you, it never
four
ends
bikes
that
later,
way.
four bike. You got four bikes over there. 4 bikes later,
I
still on the
got, I got,
budget.
yeah,
We're on the budget. We're gonna see if we
yeah,
can fit in like a fifth or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah. So that was. I got like 6 bikes now, and I have a one car garage. I have a
Yeah,
one car garage. Yeah, it never ends that way.
never. That's
No,
great, man. Well,
yeah.
yeah. Well, like I said, man, thanks for coming on, man. I'm not gonna keep you here all night. Like I said, I enjoy your videos. Like hearing from you. Like I just thought it'd be really cool, if we could just take some time to sort of put your name out there and just so everybody can learn a little bit more about you and sort of what you're about. So thanks for coming on, man. And I mean, you got any shout outs or anything for the sponsors, anything like that? Where can people find you?
Oh yeah, just gonna go shout out my stuff. Go follow BAF Racing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, no,
Promote.
I appreciate you having me here. Florida Moto Talk, and I saw you putting out some great content, so I saw your stuff, and I thought, what, it's interesting to see from two different perspective, right? Like, you're down south, you get to ride more often. That's why,
Yeah.
that's so it's nice to have that comparison, and this conversation's been amazing. No, I appreciate it. It's been great, and yeah, just that's about it. Just, anyone who's more interested, follow BAF Racing. That's it.
Yeah. Check out Bath Race. And if you want to step your game up, well, you want to step your game up, that's where the information is. Bath Racing on YouTube. Check them out. But
Awesome, man.
sweet, yeah.
Appreciate it.
I'll shut this down. Thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate you.
Hey, no worries.